Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. One of the best seller book. Over 25 million copies sold. The book is about simple way to keep the little things from taking over your life. Written by Richard Carlson. Number 1. Don't sweat the small stuff. Often we allow ourselves to get all worked up about things that, upon the closer examination, aren't really that big deal. We focus on our little problems and concerns and blow them away out of proportion. A stranger, for example, might cut in front of us in the traffic. Rather than let it go and go on with our day, we convince ourselves that we are justified in our anger. We play out an imaginary confrontation in our mind. Many of us might even tell someone else about the incident later on rather than simply let it go. Why not? Instead, simply allow the driver to have has accident somewhere else. Try to have compassion for the person. Remember how painful it is to be in such enormous hurry. This is this is way we can maintain our own sense of well-being and avoid taking other problems personally. There are many similar small stuff examples that occur every day in our lives. Whether we had to wait in line, listen to unfair criticisms, or do the lion's share of the work. It pays enormous dividends if we learn not to worry about the little things. So, many people spend so much of their life energy sweating the small stuff that they completely lose touch with the magic and beauty of life. When you commit to working toward their, this goal, you will find that you will have for more energy to be kinder and gentler. Number 2, make peace with the imperfection. I have yet to meet an absolute perfectionist whose life was filled with the inner peace. The need for perfection and the desire for inner tranquility conflict with each other. Whenever we are attached to have something in a certain way, no better than already is, we are almost by definition engaged in a losing battle. Rather than being content and grateful for what we have, we are focused on what is wrong with something and our need to fix it. When we are zeroed in on what's wrong, it implies what we are dissatisfied and discontent. Whether it is related to ourselves, a disorganized closet, a scratch on the car, or imperfect accomplishment, a few pounds we would like to lose, or someone else's imperfections. The way someone looks, behaves, lives their life. The very act of focusing on imperfection pulls us away from our goal being kind and gentle. This strength has nothing to do with causing to do your very best, but with the being orally attached and focus on what's wrong with the life. It's about realizing that while there is always a better way to do something, does this doesn't mean that you can't enjoy and appreciate the way things already are. The solutions is here to catch yourself when you fall into your habit of insisting that things should be other than they are. Gently remind yourself that life is okay the way it is right now. In the absence of your judgment, everything would be fine. As you begin to eliminate your need for perfection in all areas of your life, you will begin to discover the perfection in life itself. Number three, let go of the idea that gentle, relaxed people can be super achievers. One of the major one of the major reasons so many of us remains hurried, frightened, and competitive and continue to live life as if it were one giant emergency is our fear that if we were to become more peaceful and loving, we would suddenly stop achieving our goals. We would become lazy and empathic. You can put this fear and rest to the rest by realizing that opposite to actually true. Fearful, frantic thinking takes enormous amount of energy and drains the creativity and motivation from our lives. When you are fearful and frantic, you literally immobilize yourself from your greatest potential. Not to mention enjoyment. Any success that you do have is despite your fear, not because of. I have had the good fortune to surround myself with some very relaxed, peaceful, and loving people. Some of these people are best selling authors, loving parents, counselors, computer experts, and chief executive officers. All of them are fulfilled in what they do, are very proficient at their giving skill, at, at, at their given skills. I have learned the important lessons. When you have what you want, inner peace, you are less distracted by your wants, needs, desire, and concerns. It's thus easier to concentrate, focus, achieve your goals, and give back to others. Number four, be aware of the snowball effect of your thinking. A powerful technique for becoming more peaceful is to be aware of how quickly your negative or insecure thinking can spiral out of control. Have you ever noticed how uptight you feel when you are caught up in your thinking? And to top it off, the more observed you get in the detail of the when whatever it's upsetting you, the worse you feed. One thought leads to another and yet another until at the same point you become incredibly agitated agitated. For example, you might wake up in the middle of the night and remember a phone call that needs to be made the following day. Then, rather than feeling relieved that you remember such an important call, you start thinking about everything else you can do tomorrow. Thinking about everything else you have to do tomorrow. You start rehearsing a probable conversation with your boss, getting yourself even more upset, and pretty soon you think to yourself that I can't believe how busy I am. I must make 50 phone calls a day whose life is this anyway. And on it goes until you are feeling sorry for your life. For many people, there is no limit to how long this type of thoughts take can go on. In fact, I have been told by a client that many of their days and nights are spent in this type of mental rehearsal. Need, needless says, needless to say, it's impossible to feel peaceful with your head full of the concern and annoyance. The solution is to notice what's happening to your head before your thoughts are thoughts have a chance to build any momentum. The sooner you catch yourself in the act of building your mental snowball, the easier it's to stop. In our example here, you might notice your snowball thinking right when you start running through the list of what you have to do the next day. That instead of the obsessing on your upcoming day, you say to yourself, view there I go again, and consciously nip it in in the bed, and you stop your train of the thought of the thoughts before it has chance to get it going. You can then focus not how overwhelmed you are, but on how grateful you are for remembering the phone call that needed to be made. If it is the middle of the night, write it down on a piece of paper and go back to sleep. You might even consider keeping a pen and paper by bed for such moments. You may indeed be a very busy person, but remember that filling your head with the thoughts of how overwhelmed you are only exacerbates the problems by making you feel even more stressed than you already do. Try this simple little exercise the next time you begin to obsess on your schedule. You will be amazed at how effective it can be. Number five, develop your compassion. Nothing helps us build our perspective and more than developing compassion for others. Compassion is a sim, uh, sympathetic feelings. It involves the willingness to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to take this focus on yourself, and to imagine that it is like to be in someone else's predicament, and simultaneously to feel love for that person. It is recognitions that other people's problem, their pain and frustrations are every bit as real as our own, often for worse. In recognizing this fact and trying to offer some assistance, we open our own hearts and greatly enhance our sense of gratitude. Compassion is something you can develop with the practice. It involves two things: intention and action. Intention simple means you remember to open your heart to others. You expand what and who matters from yourself to other people. Action is simply the what you do about it. You might donate a little money or time on a regular basis to cause near to your heart. Or perhaps you will offer a beautiful smile and a genuine hello to the people you meet on the street. It's not it's not so important what you do, just that you do something. As a Mother Teresa reminds us, we cannot do great things on this earth. We can only do small things with a great love. Compassion develops your sense of gratitude by taking your attention off all the little things that most of us have learned to take too seriously. When you take time often to reflect our miracle of life and the miracle that you are even able to read this book. The gift of sight, of love, and all this rest, it can help to remind you that many of things that you think of as big stuff